Hello, welcome to the forecast for October 28th till November 3rd. Well, this week we have a very serious new moon. This moon means business. So it's no joke, it's no playing around. We're going to get down to it. This is a very intense week, and I'm not saying that it's all a bad thing. It's just a lot is happening on the surface and beneath the surface. So we're going to have all kinds of feelings moving around, and we also have real change. And I call this the new moon of real transformation. There is no way anyone is going to be able to escape the powers of this new moon and the intentions that we are being called to set and the transformation that we are actively experiencing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. Let's see, give me 1 second. And while I do that, please like, subscribe, and share away this amazing message so that people can be prepared for our Scorpio new moon. Okay, let me make this big. All right, well, let's get to it. So we are officially in Scorpio season. I mentioned that in last week's forecast. And this is a sign that's ruled by Mars. So as you can tell, Mars, it's a fiery planet. It's very assertive, aggressive and assertive, both. And so we're not, calm and chill during this time. There is a lot of action. There's a lot of change, a lot of activity, movement, transformation. And that's the thing that Scorpio is about. Scorpio, we've got two planets in Scorpio. We have our sun here, you'll see right here on the left, and then you'll also see the planet of Mercury there. And when we have this much Scorpio energy present, the intention is very strong, crystal clear, and the focus is just relentless. Talk about stubbornness. I think sometimes Scorpio beats Taurus in stubbornness. I mean, their level of supporting their passions and their desires and their curiosities and their obsessions is just pales into comparison. Like, it is going to get what it wants, it's going to do what it wants, and it is not letting up. It is not going to let up. So if we need willpower, if you've been like wanting willpower and motivation and drive, you're going to get it this week from multiple angles, because Mars is quite active this week as well. So with Mercury here, our communications and our conversations are absolutely going to be more profound, more thought-provoking, more investigative. And that's the thing, is that when we're talking about Scorpio, it cares about the subconscious. It cares about psychology. It cares about, what is driving everything. Why is something in existence? Why is something happening? What's the real reason? It needs to understand the true causes of things, the root issues of things. So just a simple answer is not sufficient enough for Scorpio. It needs to understand with incredible depth, wants to know the nuance, wants to know the subtleties. It needs to know every square inch of why something is. So this is, like I said, not a nice, breezy, chill read of something. This is detective energy. This is trying to also not just find the hidden truths and the hidden meanings of things, but also facing them, addressing them. And that's what I love about this week's energy, is that it is going to encourage us and inspire us to really look at even our deepest fears, because that's another thing Scorpio can bring to the surface, are some of our deepest fears and concerns and worries. So this is really about facing these things, and we have a lot of Saturn influence this week that is very supportive. So we have Saturn here. You'll see a trine that is happening. It's a blue line in a triangle between this red Saturn planet and the sun. And in this transit, this one's going to be here until November 11th. So that's a good amount of time that we have this. And Saturn is our practical planet. It's our grounded and realistic planet as well. It's a very disciplined and focused in its own right. So if you think about that, all of that focus, discipline, right? And making sure that we follow through to the end, that's what Saturn is providing for us. And so you're going to be able to address a lot of these fears or concerns, or whatever services with like this wise woman or wise man energy. And that's what Saturn is about. It's also wisdom. It rules time. So it has a lot of experience under its belt. So we get to glean that wisdom from Saturn to show us and teach us and help us to understand the things that we are moving through and the things that we are finding. Okay, so that is a lot of our Scorpio energy. Let's talk about Moon. We have Moon currently in Virgo. It's only in Virgo just for this day, I believe. Yep, because the next day it moves into another sign. Well, talk about details, because Virgo really, really loves to sort and sift through a ton of details. Also wanting to find out the root causes, also trying to connect all of the dots. It's very analytical. It's very logical. It's very methodical. It's also very strategic. I mean, we're getting that strategic energy from Scorpio, and we're also getting it from the Moon in Virgo. So the thoroughness is just completely extreme right now. And so you're not going to be satisfied with just a cursory glance at things. You really are probably going to go down many rabbit holes, and that's okay. And that's what's being called right now. So it does have some perfectionistic tendencies. I've given this recommendation in last week's forecast because it's an earth sign. Just interact with elements of the earth, pieces of the earth, like I mentioned, like food and cooking. That's one way to just help you to feel a bit more calm and grounded and nurtured and stabilized, because your mind is going to be going, and your emotions are going to be going between these two areas here of Scorpio and Virgo with, prominent planets that affect us every single day. There's going to be a lot of intensity in feelings as well as intensity in mental activity. So just get connected to nature. Another option, because this is a water sign, being in running water, that would be helpful too. Like just taking a shower might feel incredibly liberating to you and just help you to kind of get out. Sometimes we need to just get out of that intensity and try to have a different experience if it's becoming too much. Okay, so that's our Moon in Virgo. Our Moon has a lot of conversations on this day. We have Moon in sextile with Mercury. So that Scorpio and Virgo energy is one and connected here. But this is good because if you think about like our Mercury, that's our mental activity. It's our thinking. Okay. It's how we're digesting all of this information. And then we have Moon in Virgo that also is amazing at even digesting, like helping us digest the emotions that we are moving through. So they're essentially working together and being able to articulate and express, and basically like weave a story and explain like what the findings are and how they're connected and how they're impacting you or impacting somebody else. So I really love the intuitive like ability to see and understand. We have Saturn here giving us that wisdom. We can really paint a picture that is beautiful, that is meaningful, that is deep, intense, that is passionate. And I just like that we have this clear thinking and clear expression and clear communication, and also just being able to recognize the feelings that we are going through as well, and not ignoring the feelings or hiding or suppressing these feelings. It's going to be very hard with all of this activity here. Okay, so we do have Moon square Jupiter, which is pretty nice. It's Jupiter, even though it's a square, Jupiter is a benefic, and it tends to bring feelings of just optimism and hope, which is good. It could make us a little bit more indulgent. Jupiter is one of the biggest planets, so possibly just indulging in a little bit of extra and a little excess. But there's so many other aspects that, again, I'm not too worried about the negative side of this at all. Moon is in trine with Uranus, so you'll see Moon here. Uranus is over here, this kind of purple looking planet, and there's a blue line. That's very nice. This is going to give you very striking, like intuitive hits here, of seeing all the things that Scorpio energy is revealing to you. It'll give you a need for some freedom and some excitement. And in these kinds of situations, because Uranus brings like impulsivity too, but when it's in a trine like this to the moon, if you're feeling impulsive I just feel like doing this. It's so random. I normally would not do it. But if something like that surfaces on Monday, go do it. Go do it, because it's well supported. That's inspiration, okay? Sometimes impulsivity is actually inspiration, and you just gotta move with it, and you gotta flow with it, because gifts are present on the other side of that, okay? Breakthroughs are present on the other side of that, not chaos. Now, and so, there's a time and place for everything. And that's the key. That's what I love about astrology, is that we are talking about the quality of time here. And so if you understand the quality of time, you can really take advantage of these energy signatures and have better, more favorable outcomes. How about that? More favorable outcomes, and take advantage of the assets that are available. Okay, very good. Let's see what other ones we got going here. We have Moon opposite Neptune, so that this one can give you increased sensitivity, okay, and increased, so it's going to be a strong intuition day in general with everything happening, but it increased vision, increase in intensity of dreaming as well. So that's one thing. Sometimes we could see a bit of it's too much and so much that it's getting all jumbled up, and we're not clearly picking up on it because there's just too much information. Again, remember, Moon is in Virgo, so let's focus on earthy things, and that's going to help dissipate any kind of cloudiness that we may get from Neptune there, okay? And also help deal with, any excess indulging that happens from Jupiter. Okay, we do need to talk about this ground trine again. I mentioned it last week. I love this ground trine. You're going to see this big blue triangle in the middle. What planets are involved? We've got Mercury here on the left. We have Mars at the top. And then on the bottom right, we've got Neptune. So this is a grand trine because they are making a trine. This is a lot of active energy. It's very beneficial. It's helpful. And the way that I see this is that Neptune represents our imagination and creativity, okay? And it's also our spirituality as well. Visions, we see a lot of visions. It rules film and photography, is what Neptune does. So that's why it's very visual in nature. So clairvoyance will be seen here with Neptune. And then you have Mars, which is our desires, our passions, it's our excitement, it's our drive, it's our motivation. Mars gives us all of that. And then you have Mercury as part of the mix. And the way that I see this is that we have, all of this creative energy and spiritual connection that we get from Neptune. And then it is in a great conversation with Mercury, which is planet of communication. So it also rules the hands, right? And the arms and the hands. So I see our visions or our intuition or our spirituality and being able, it's like Mercury is the mouthpiece for Neptune. I said this last week, and it is able to express, whether it's actually literally from the mouth, okay, like actually speaking out what you are receiving and what you're getting, or making something with your hands. And then you throw Mars in this, and now you've got that action. You have that energy of movement and doing and making and designing and creating. This is like creative juices in action, being materialized in this realm, because that's another thing that Mercury does. It moves in between the realms. So in the other dimensions where Neptune is, right, Mercury is the go-between between the other realms and this realm, the heavens, the underworld, and this dimension, in this three-dimensional world in which we live in. So it's like a carrier. I think of Mercury as the carrier of our visions and our dreams. It gives us the image, the picture, so that we can fully see it and then utilize it as a blueprint. And then Mars comes in and just does it, builds it, makes the thing. So I really love this grand trine situation. And we have this for a while. I believe it's until, let me double check, November 4th. I found it. It was swimming in my notes here. November 4th is when, is how long we have this grand trine. So take advantage of it, okay? Take advantage of it. All right, so we also have Mars in sextile to Uranus. That is really nice. This is going to give us, again, increased desire for fun, excitement, independence, freedom. This is also very supportive of making major changes. So you can make major changes right now with the support of Uranus. It's not going to create chaos. It's not going to be disruptive. It's going to lead to a breakthrough, if anything. Okay, so extra inspiration and motivation with that sextile. We have one that is rough, okay? It's Mars opposite Pluto, and we're going to have this all the way into January. It is going to peak in November. I believe it's November 3rd. When we get there, I'll let you know. But it's going to peak at the beginning of November, right around election time, of course. And in January is when the Mars and Pluto opposition will separate. And remember, Pluto is in its final degree, okay, literally 29th degree, and in November it is crossing over to Pluto. I mean, it's like a countdown over here. But when we have this kind of opposition, look, oppositions, one thing to know about oppositions, I feel like they may oftentimes operate like a conjunction too, like when they're right next to each other. But what's important is that it's like a seesaw, and you have to honor both. So incorporate both, which means we can incorporate both the positive sides of these planets and then also its shadow side. So that's the thing with every planet, is it's going to have its strengths and it's going to have its darkness, its weaknesses too. So let's talk about both. What I do like about this opposition, though, is that it just digs into something primal. Like, it is our primal drives, our primal desires. I mean, it's like animal instinct, okay? Like, we have to do it. We have to go for it. It's so important. And in this configuration, it's not like, we're not like, gently knocking at the door of transformation. No, it is kicking it down. It is busting it down. So, the kind of transformation that we're going through, we've been talking about this for a while, right? We've been talking about this transformation for a while. But right now, we are in the intense part of this, season of change and transformation, especially like now. This is going to be present when we transition Pluto into Aquarius. And in some ways, it can feel violent, like you're being forced into it when you feel like you're not ready. But trust me, you are ready. So anyone who has been hesitant, okay, and reluctant to take some leaps, this is going to make you do it. This is going to make you take those leaps. So it forces us to face challenges, okay, and test us. And look, with remember we talked about all of this Scorpio energy, like and Pluto. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. There is no hiding. There's just no hiding. We have to address it. We have to attend to our deepest fears. This is also then very good for work that you're dealing with, like if you're going to see a therapist, for example, or a counselor, or energetic healer, or an acupuncturist, anyone that works in the realm of, the subconscious mind and psychology, like this is prime time for you inviting that work into your life, because it'll be very powerful, strong, and effective, and support you through this rocky times here. So another thing to know about Pluto is that it brings on destruction. And it isn't just, let me just destroy things in your life and leave you in the mess. That's not Pluto. That's only half of the equation. But it doesn't destroy just random things. It's destroying things that are not good for you anymore. It is destroying things that are obsolete, that are not aligned. So it's going to destroy what needs to be destroyed. And it also resurrects, it builds new things. So it is a death and a rebirth. That is what Pluto is about, death and a rebirth. When you look at Capricorn, where it's been in here since 2008, hierarchical institutions, government, corporations, death. Have you seen the retail apocalypse? Right? Have you seen people stop trusting mainstream media? Have you seen people stop trusting the government? Right? Death of this old institutional type of entities, and then rebirth. That's a rebirth that's going to happen. The power is going to come into the hands of the people when Pluto goes into Aquarius, and not concentrated by elite power, for example. Okay, so just know that this is part of what is meant to be happening in the collective. Things falling apart, the economy's falling apart, all that's falling apart. So we're going to be confronting ourselves. We're going to be confronting not only our deepest fears, but also our deepest desires. And so as a result, we're going through a profound shift and transformation. And in our new moon, we're going to be talking about it. It's happening on Friday, and that's going to be a Scorpio new moon, and which is very similar to Pluto, where all the stuff I just talked about escalated. It's going to be a lot stronger. So just keep this in mind. I'm going to repeat this over and over again to remind you that if you're wondering what the hell is going on, it's this Mars-Pluto opposition. If you look back in history, there's a lot of war that you can see in association with this configuration here too. Okay, so moving on. Venus square Saturn right here. This one is gonna, Saturn is about boundaries, okay? And Venus represents our values too, our what's pleasure, what's fun. But what I like about this configuration with the square is that it's going to help us to really like make sure that our goals are aligned with our values, and just checking that, rechecking that, so that we are not in this process of transformation that we're going through. I think of Saturn here as like putting some guardrails so that we don't transform into a direction that is just not meant for us, and just remind us, like, get grounded and be practical and be realistic about it, because that's what Saturn does. It's really like the disciplinarian, and it's not, again, always delightful and fun, but you can't have children just run amok and have no structure and no boundaries and no discipline. Like that is utter chaos. I've lived that. And the more that I implement structure and routine for my children, the better it is, even if they don't like it. But, they sleep well at night because they have to get up at 6:30 in the morning, and bedtime should be 8:30 and not 11:30. Children need sleep. It's like a grandfather energy, and it's lived a life and it knows what's best. Okay, so that's Venus opposite Jupiter. Let's now continue on to Tuesday. We're going to continue on to Tuesday. Now, a lot of the stuff I talked about Monday, that they're going to be sticking around for the rest of the week. So hopefully you listen to majority of Monday, and definitely listen to Friday because that new moon is important. All right, so our moon has transitioned on this day, on Tuesday. So it has moved into Libra. And this, with moon in Libra, this is going to be a lighter placement, which is nice after what we just went through with Monday. And it's our emotional well-being here is going to be very connected to us interacting with others, interacting with friends, with our partner, just with loved ones in general. It's going to need some peace. So find your peace while moon is in Libra. You're going to probably want your spaces not cluttered and chaotic. You're probably going to want to, spend a little bit of time beautifying yourself or your surroundings. We were in Libra season for a while with sun here, but now the moon is here. So there's an emotional need to be in community, be in connection with others, and an emotional need for just beauty and harmony and symmetry and art. Like, it is not going to want chaos and clutter. It is not into that. Virgo can handle chaos and clutter because it likes to clean it up. It gets so much satisfaction from cleaning it up. But Libra doesn't want any of it. It's more, Venus rules Libra, so it's more about fun and pleasure and play. So that's what your moon's going to need for today and for the next couple of days. Let me see how long. Yeah, it's there until Thursday. So we got 3 days of moon in Libra. So, make some time and space for a little bit of fun for your moon here. And it's very supportive and caring, and it's nurturing too. It really loves to take care of others. It's important for her to do so. Okay, so the one last thing for Tuesday is just the moon trine Pluto here. And this is going to really increase that emotional sensitivity. You're probably also going to be feeling that Mars-Pluto interaction as it's communicating with the moon. So again, please go play a little bit and find peaceful spaces, what you deem as peaceful. That will be really helpful if the Pluto is just bringing your emotions at a really high decibel and it's bothering you, then that would be my recommendation there. Okay, so that's Tuesday. Let's continue on to Wednesday, October 30th. Our moon is still here. We don't have too much changes. So moon is in sextile with Venus. That's only going to bring this sweetness and softness, and even wanting a little bit of adventure because Venus is in Sagittarius. But that sweetness, softness, kindness, caring, nurturing, all of that is going to be desired here on this day. Really good time to socialize. I would at the least, even if it's digital communication, meaning phone calls, text messages, voice notes, stuff like that, minimum do that. But I do recommend phoning a friend phoning a friend on this day. Okay, moon is trine to Jupiter. That's really nice. Oh, it's so nice. This is going to bring a lot of also generosity too, so that's only going to add to the sweetness of your interactions with your friends or family or any acquaintances. But Jupiter brings so much emotional growth too. So we're going to learn a lot of lessons. Jupiter also provides a ton of wisdom, a ton of perspective. Also, this is adding to this is a good time for recreation, leisure, play. Okay, so that's it. I feel like this is probably a softer, gentler day of the week. Okay, so Thursday, let's continue. Thursday is October 31st, Halloween. Happy Halloween. We still have our moon here in Libra, but it is square Mars. All right. So this, on the positive side, it can really intensify this insatiable need to meet our desires or move with our passions. It can do that. It can also bring a little bit of irritability and agitation because Mars can be an angry planet and it's connected right to our emotions. So, yeah, this can really test your patience as well. This is a time to not act impulsively, okay? Because remember I talked about like when Uranus and Moon had a nice trine? Perfect, be impulsive. Not today. Like I know it's holiday, I know it's Halloween here in North America, but please take extra caution, be safe, because risky behaviors, things like that, that could lead to more dangerous outcomes. Okay, so please avoid like getting hurt or anything like that. Just take those extra safety measures when we have this kind of arrangement. We also have Moon square Pluto, so that's another reason why. Look at that, it's squared both Mars and Pluto, which can definitely cause harm. So yeah, extra careful on this day. If you're trick-or-treating with kids, like pay attention to the cars. Just be safe. That's all I can say. No drinking and driving. All right. Get an Uber or a Lyft. Like don't risk. It's not worth it. Okay, we also have Mercury that is in trine with Pluto. This can make one very influential and very persuasive. So if you want something out of somebody, this would be a good time to, I don't know, sell something. To give you an idea, funny enough, but yeah, this is with Pluto. Pluto has to do with power and influence and authority, and with this makes you so clever. Like with Mercury and Scorpio, Mercury and Scorpio can read people unbelievably well. Like I mean, yeah, play poker maybe. This would be a time to play poker. So yeah, you can really persuade somebody to see your way, and if you need to negotiate or prove a point or convince someone of something, you could take advantage of this configuration for that. All right, that's just a little fun for you. Now let's go on to Friday. So Friday is our new moon day, and it is a new moon in Scorpio. It's actually at 9 degrees, 34 minutes, and it's going to happen at 5:47 a.m. Pacific time, otherwise 8:47 a.m. Eastern time. And my time is like a little bit off here on this image, but basically it's at 9 degrees of Scorpio is when it actually happens. It happens earlier in the morning, earlier in the day. Now, let's talk about this new moon of transformation, because Scorpio is all about transformation. Scorpio is not just digging for info just for the fun of it. Like, it wants to be changed. It wants to be transformed. It is trying to find the truth, and the truth will set you free, right? So it is essentially wanting to be free and express itself. And so there's a lot of intense feelings when we're talking about Scorpio. It is so obsessive, and it is so passionate, and it is just so intense, and it's not going to let up. So when we're talking about change, this is meaningful change. This is really happening. The new moon seeds that you plant on this day are going to basically grow deep roots into the earth. Deep. Okay, so I wouldn't take this lightly, this new moon. If you don't have a practice of setting intentions of here with Scorpio, what do you want to transform? What do you really want to change at the deepest levels of your soul? These are the things I want you to ask yourself. And take the time, please, to write it down. Look, you have Mercury. We have three things here. We've got Sun, Moon, and Mercury. Now, Mercury is about communication, expression, writing. And one of the things with Mercury, Mercury also sends messages to the other realms. And so with Mercury also joining the Sun and Moon here in Scorpio, it's going to be able to deliver these messages to where it needs to be to get the full support that it needs for these new moon seeds to flourish and grow and develop. So again, please don't let this day pass you by. You can do it earlier in the day. You can do it in the morning because the peak of this is obviously happening, more in the wee hours of the morning, especially in Pacific time. So this is another thing I want you to look at is where is the sign of Scorpio in your house or in your chart? What house is Scorpio in? So, in this situation, it's in the first house. And the first house actually has to do with your own identity. Like it is the essence of who you are. It's the physical body. And so, in this situation, as an example, with this new moon in Scorpio happening in their first house, this is really about probably reinventing like who they are at their core. Maybe they're really going through incredible change of self in every way, or they're going through a big physical transformation because the first house is the physical body as well. So that's just to give you an idea. Let's say Scorpio is in the seventh house. That's relationships, that's partnerships. So that could be a big change, like a whole new, even if they're married, for example, their relationship could be going through a complete transformation that it's almost like a whole new relationship. It's not the same person that they met. Like the dynamic of their connection is vastly different than when they originally got together. So that's just to give you some examples, but let us know down below, like look at your chart. We're going to have a link down below for how to look up your natal chart in whole sign houses and see what house Scorpio is presiding over. And then that'll give us even more information about what area of your life is going through this intense transformation, this rebirth experience. Okay. All right. So very good. It's a rich time. It's a rich new moon. I mean, this is for real change. This is not playing around. This isn't fluffy. Like this is legit. Okay. All right. So that's our new moon for Friday. I do want to also point out there's one other element that I am so happy to see here. We've been talking about this Saturn, right? And in trining with the sun. Well, Saturn is trining both the sun and the moon here. Okay. Both the sun and the moon. And think of like the sun as the conscious mind and the moon as the subconscious mind. And with this Saturn influence into this new moon, do you know what this means? Saturn is grounded. It is not like, pie in the sky, like in La La Land. No, Saturn is for real. That's why I'm saying this is for real. This is legit. Okay. Saturn is reliable. It's practical. It's diligent. I mean, it is responsible, very responsible. And it ensures that the work gets done. The work is going to get done. Nothing is going to be overlooked with Saturn because Saturn is also very, very thorough. It's patient, it's persistent, it's determined. And here's the thing. The new moon seeds, it does need to be tangible. Like it needs to be achievable and realistic. That's the thing. Okay. You got that? That's the like fine print. If that makes sense. It needs to you look achievable and that you can really get some real, tangible, practical results with this. So this is going to help us to actually reach the goal. This is going to help us complete the transformation. With Saturn is an authority figure, and it's going to preside over all of this. It's not going to let up. I mean, it's like a, like a general or a lieutenant in the army, something like that. Like, it is not going to let up. So I do like that. And it's in a trine, so it's the positive aspects, because a negative aspect would be we would have restrictions, we would have obstacles, we would have challenges, but that's not the case here. It's the opposite. We're getting the direction and the support and the guidance and the authority. And sometimes you just need a coach, right? I have coaches. And that coach, like, they're there to help you. They're there to support you. They're there to stretch you a bit. They're ultimately looking out for your greater good, for your evolution, for your growth and development, right? And so Saturn here is providing that. It's a great coach to the new moon seeds. Okay, I think I've talked extensively about this new moon. So I hope you enjoy it. Just please take the time to write some intentions down for this next lunar cycle. So Saturday and Sunday, Saturday we've got quite a bit happening to the moon. There's a lot of aspects there. So moon is conjunct Mercury. That is pretty close to Mercury, which is really nice. Like, your emotions are probably going to be a bit more sensitive, but you'll also be a little more intuitive. Because, by the way, moon in Scorpio, I forgot to mention, highly psychic, highly intuitive, highly sensitive as well. This will be really good to have these deep transformative conversations. So if you have any kind of relationship issues, anywhere, like it is with your partner or with a female friend, as moon represents females, it could be with your family, that a moon also represents family too, like the domestic life. This would be a good time to have those conversations, because this will help you to not just get it off your chest, which that's one important aspect, but it's also going to help you in that conversation, because we're in Scorpio, to really dig deep and really like get to the root of what is, like, why did you do that? Why did you say that? Like, what does that really mean? Rather than just being reactive, because sometimes when we have disagreements, we just kind of react back and forth and get defensive back and forth. But no, like, it's going to be a very mature conversation to understand, okay, why are we reacting in this way? So knowing like what's really causing these surface level disagreements or issues, for example. So a good time to have important conversations, okay? And not just not only just because it's important, but in this setup with all this Scorpio energy, you're going to actually go through a change in that conversation. Like, someone is going to have a change, maybe a change of heart, a change of thinking, a change of perspective, and then that will further in the future improve, future communication. So when I talk about real change, like, this is all these planets in Scorpio, like, I'm telling you, we're all going to grow up. How about that? We are going to be growing up this week. Okay. So we have Moon trine Mars. I like that conversation. That's going to bring more passion and excitement and attraction, and just really focusing on your desires. And it's going to make you more assertive too. And this is a time where you should be asserting yourself. I mean, you also have this, Mercury sextile Pluto, which people will be more easily influenced and persuaded by you. But when you're assertive in this situation, you are respected, you are heard, you are seen, you are understood. Like, so I really like, this is a good time to stand up for yourself if necessary, but also just don't hide. There's no need to hide here. You be fully transparent, show up and say what matters to you and whatever needs to be spoken. Okay. Yeah, this is a lot of great energy. We have a kite right here between Mercury and Mars, and then Neptune, and then Pluto. Wow, I'm just in awe. Like, do you see the kite right here? We have two of these trines and then these sextiles. And so the planets that are involved, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, and Neptune, we are really going through a spiritual awakening. Like that's the essence of this. And it is being driven between Mars and Pluto, and it is happening. I love that that's following the new moon. This nice little configuration. Okay, so let's see. Moon is opposite Uranus, and this is going to create that strong need for independence. And then Moon is also trine Neptune to add to that. So your level of intuition here and sensitivity is going to be off the charts. If you get psychic impressions, please pay attention to that. I feel like you're going to understand what this new moon transformation is about. It's not going to be some obscure thing. I'm not really sure what I should be, what new moon seeds I should be planting. Like you know what you want to plant and what you need to plant and what is just tugging at your heart and what keeps like coming to attention for you. Okay, so that's our Saturday. And then we have Sunday, November 3rd. Our moon has changed now, as well as Mercury. Look at that. See that? So Mercury on Saturday was at 29 degrees of Scorpio, and moon was 22 degrees of Scorpio, and both of them. These are personal planets, so we're going to feel a change in the air. And I love this transition because Sagittarius, it's very inspired and it's excited and it's adventurous and it loves new. It needs to explore. It needs to also understand. It loves to seek wisdom. The one thing though is different in terms of seeking truth. Like Scorpio likes to go down deep in the underworld, right? Whereas Sagittarius is more of like let me get a bird's eye view and really see how everything works and how they overlay and interconnect. And so it's more of like a broader, expansive perspective than sometimes Scorpio can get real mired in the details. So we have both the moon, our emotions, our internal world, feeling this expansiveness and this openness and this optimism, as well as our Mercury, which is the way that we think. So they're really like in alignment here. And it doesn't like heavy burdens. Let's just say that, Scorpio can handle heavy burdens. It's ready for them, but not Moon and Mercury. They like to keep it a little bit light. Not only that, we have Venus here, which is, our pleasure and our hobbies. So, Sunday is going to be a lighter fun day. Okay, so you deserve that. After a very, very strong new moon, you can go play a bit. You can go play a bit. Okay, so the only other thing I want to say is Moon trine Mars. And, you're going to actively seek play. This is what I'm seeing because between Mars and Moon in Sagittarius, adventure, excitement, the unknown, this pioneering energy, like you're going to need to do something very exciting to satisfy you on Sunday. So don't plan for Sunday just being another quiet little Sunday. This is not a quiet Sunday. This is something that's adventurous, something exciting, or even like reading a new book. Or reading a book you have and you've had it for years and you just haven't read it yet. So also exploring new ideas and new philosophies. That's what Sunday is going to be about. Okay, it has to just be something new. Whether you're physically traveling, and it could be locally, but like traveling to a place you've never been, that would be a great way to support the moon here. Or learning about an idea or a philosophy or something, a way of looking at the world that you haven't ever done before. Maybe it's listening to an exciting podcast, even, a podcast that completely changes how you approach something in your life. So that could be a way that it expresses too. All right, so that is our forecast for the week. Thank you for hanging in there with me. That was really fun, and I am looking forward to this week. I think it's going to be a really overall, once we, there might be some storms and some bumps and so forth, but they're going to be the challenges that are worth it and that are important and that grow us and strengthen us. So don't be afraid of a little bit of challenge, because that is going to happen. Well, it's going to be happening for a bit. but if you love this, please like, subscribe, share away, and we'll put links down below to how to look up your natal chart. If you are confused about how to do so, I have very specific instructions so that it is in whole sign house format. And if you would love to learn more about corrections and mitigations, I provide blends every month to deal with collective energies and what empaths and hypersensitives and healers and artists really need to support themselves. And you can find that through the Rise and Thrive community, and we'll have that link down below. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you next week for the next forecast. Enjoy the new moon.